Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Patrick's parts will be more survival horror focused, while Mark's parts will be more actiony, but the podcast will be equally split between the two. A powerful knight lives in this town, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society lives in this town with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including all the announcements coming out of the Game Awards. And then on Thursday, it's part one of the ABCs of Nintendo multiplayer. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. You know, this is the last news episode that we'll be doing for the year, and it's so interesting how now that the Switch 2 is out, there is Nintendo news happening all the time. Because I remember previous years, even in the middle of the Switch's life, you know, we got to around the beginning of November, and there was not much
Everything
happening.
Stops, right? Whatever,
Yeah.
if there were directs going into the end of the year, those have already happened, and whatever is going to come out is just like, it's already quiet. We're already done with it.
But not this year.
Not this
there's
year.
Still news happening.
And I think part of that is that like Nintendo is not out of the third-party published business anymore.
Yeah, that
right?
does help.
Like people are, it's not just Nintendo putting games on the Switch 2 at this point, and not just like indie developers or whatever either. I don't mean to say just indie. Oh, I'm digging myself into a hole.
Well, we're doing the show before the show. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. We are not yet to the actual show. We've got a lot of that kind of announcements out of Game Awards. I feel like we've gotten so used to the last couple of years of that stuff just like not hitting Nintendo at all.
Yeah, not mattering.
Not mattering. And since they stopped bringing like Smash Fighters to Game Awards, that's been like zip, nothing.
Still holding out for that Metroid Prime trilogy, though, right? Any day now?
Oh, yeah, any day now. Probably announced at Game Awards Part 2. What if they did do the whole like trilogy remastered? Just like now.
That'd be hilarious.
It would be so ill-timed. Although maybe people would like it now that like 4 has been whatever it's been.
Maybe, but like, why just a couple of weeks after?
I don't know.
It'd be so weird.
It would be very weird. If you want to hear us talk about other things that we think are weird, but that we like, probably, you can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries like NCS at the Movies.
Right, and we just put out an episode about Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out Mystery, the most recent Knives Out Mystery.
Yes.
Available on Netflix to watch, available on our Patreon to listen to. Special guest Ryan Mogi joins us. It's a lot of fun.
It is technically a crossover with NCS Detective Club.
That's right.
Which is a previous miniseries that we did where we watched the great detective shows on television. You can get those if you're following us, I think, for free.
I think
even
so, too.
On Patreon. So go and check that out at every level, including the free level. There is stuff for you on Patreon. So check it out. It's all fun stuff. You can also get in our Discord, where we can chat about Nintendo stuff all day long. Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. We'll send you an invitation, and then you're in there. It's a good time. Mark, we got a handful of debugs.
Yes, we do. We do have a handful of debugs. So last week in the news episode, we were talking about Nintendo's like recent acquisitions, and I was trying to remember the name of the port house that they had acquired in 2024, and I kept saying Virtuos, which is a company that does ports but was not acquired by Nintendo.
No.
And the company I was thinking about is Shiver.
Yes.
Shiver, based in Florida, was acquired by Nintendo in 2024. Also, I was trying to recall, without looking it up, what the Call of Duty game from this year is, and I said Black Ops 6, which is incorrect. It's Black Ops 7. They threw me because they released Black Ops 6 last year. They did 2 Black Ops in a row.
2 blops in a row?
2 blops in a row.
Are they ever going to do the thing where they just do Call of Duty Black Ops and just like no number, where it's just like the new one?
They have so many sub-series going. I don't know if you could, like, it would be interesting. I guess they did that with Modern Warfare.
Oh yeah,
A
that's true.
A few years ago, they were just like, we're rebooting Modern Warfare. This one doesn't have a number on it.
There's so much about the way Call of Duty is made and sold that I don't understand at all.
Yeah, it's its own like a world at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Mm-hmm.
on Thursday we were talking about GameShare
Yes.
and how that as part of the Cardies. And I think we determined that GameShare is like the best Nintendo Switch 2 feature that we forgot about already.
I don't want to give it away in case people haven't listened,
Oh,
but
okay.
I think it is not. I think it was just nominated.
Okay. Well, then, it was a nominee. And when we were talking about
Maybe
it,
it won. I don't remember.
when we were talking about it, we said the Mario Kart World and Kirby Air Riders supported GameShare, and we thought that was a cool thing.
They do not.
They don't. Thank you to AV in the Discord for the correction. Donkey Kong Bonanza does, and that's a cool thing
That's cool.
that we can get on board with because we know it's true because AV told us it is.
It's also it's interesting that like it feels like a less desirable 2-player mode, right? Than like Mario Kart World or Kirby Air Riders, right?
Totally.
That I think they know. They're like, no. If people want to play 2-player Mario Kart, they got to get 2 carts. But if people want to play 2-player Donkey Kong Bonanza, a mode that like I don't know anyone that's played, like yeah, maybe we should let them game share it.
Yeah.
And then we also got an email correction from Chariot Goblin. Chariot Goblin wrote in and said, your episode on Nintendo's December history was fascinating. Definitely shows how the company has evolved throughout the years, but never lets ideas fully die. Correction. Nintendo's 2017 December also included a game for 3DS, Style Savvy Styling Star. It was released on December 25th as an eShop exclusive in North America. Europe and Japan got it the month before. Thanks and happy holidays. A Christmas Day release on the 3DS eShop.
I mean, that is a release for the freaks if I've ever heard one.
It is 100% a freak release.
Or is it? Or is it a? Now that I'm saying
now
that,
it's like the casual one,
it's the
right?
casual one. Yeah.
But I think the freaky thing about it is that it was a Christmas Day release.
Well, you're unwrapping your new 3DS.
Uh-huh.
You're opening up the eShop to see what you can get.
And you're like, I need to download something right now, and it better be brand new.
Yep.
You have a choice. Or at least you have one that you can do. It's probably not multiples. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. So, I have not played a ton of game this week. I continue to play Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I've spent some time on that motorcycle, the Viola, drive around the desert, going to different places that are like, this one's icy, this one's fiery. And how deep are you into the game at this point?
I have just played a little bit further than when we talked last week. I got my like Viola license.
Mm-hmm.
And then made it a little bit further than that, but the majority of my time this week was actually playing something else that we'll get to in a second. So
yes.
Yeah, not much further.
Is that like indicative of like your desire to get back to it, or
no?
What do you think here?
I didn't have that much time to game this week. End of the year, just trying to like get some stuff in order.
We banked a couple episodes, yeah,
and Wario World was released as part of Nintendo Switch Online.
Let's talk about Wario World.
Yeah, on the GameCube. And I've never played this game before, always been so curious about it. And so when it was released, I was like, I've got to try this game out. And
are you using your GameCube controller?
I'm not, because
Okay.
I was playing it handheld, and which was actually totally fine. When I was playing Wind Waker, I was also playing that handheld, and I felt like I needed to go in and mess with the settings a little bit to get it to make more sense for me. But I actually found Wario World to be totally playable, just with like the standard controls. So it is remarkable how much they were able to capture what I think of as a Wario Land game and translate it into 3D. Combat is a bigger part of it, and the combat is not particularly fun.
Yeah, sure.
But we played Wario Land 4 for NCS Arcade a while back, and that's the most recent Wario Land game that I've played. So in my mind, that is Wario Land, like what that franchise is like. And it takes a lot of it. You remember in Wario Land 4 how there are different, like different rooms that have different puzzles that you're earning treasure like diamonds or whatever from. So this has a very similar setup where you're going through levels, and in levels there are like 8 red gems or diamonds or some fancy rock that you're trying,
Some precious gem.
yeah, some precious stone that you're trying to earn. And to finish the level, you have to have earned like a certain amount of them. But then there are extra that are hidden in there if you're trying to like 100% it. Then in addition to that, there are other like treasures that you find. But so you're going through the level doing like normal kind of like combat, little exploration, because you're trying to find these hidden rooms where there are little like puzzles for you to solve. Like, how do I get up to? They're kind of like spatial puzzles. It's like, okay, how do I manipulate the camera to see what I need to see, and then how do I figure out, okay, I need to do this to get up to the like precious stone or the treasure or whatever it is. So it's non-linear. You start out, you can go to any of the levels from the beginning. I just kind of felt like, I don't know that I love it, but I felt compelled to keep going and to see what else the game had in store. I think it's pretty good. I've only played maybe like 1 or 2 hours of it, probably like 2 hours. So maybe it will reveal itself to me more. Maybe I will get sick of it after a certain amount of time. But I thought it was pretty good. Interesting 3D approximation of a Wario Land game.
That's so interesting. This is a game that I've never played at all, and I've really only seen like a couple seconds of it here and there on like YouTube or whatever. So I'm interested to check it out. I'm further intrigued by your reaction to it. Like, even if it ends up not being like good or great, it sounds like a functioning curiosity.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's very cool. Should we go back to Metroid Prime now at all, or
I mean, I don't really have anything more to say about
Right.
it. Do you have anything more that you want to talk about from your experience?
Just that I was under the impression from a lot of the like pre-release chatter that the game was linear in the way it presented its like the individual worlds that you visit, or whatever they are, the biomes outside of the valley, the sun-soaked valley. That's probably not what it's called, but the desert. But excuse me. But like, you go into the fiery area, you grab the fire power up, and then you kind of immediately get booted out of there. And then like take that power up into the ice area, and now I'm in the ice area.
Oh, that is interesting, because my understanding also from the like early reactions and previews to it was that it was more Zelda-like, where it's like, I am in the fire world and I will do the fire thing.
Yes.
And then that's interesting.
And maybe this is like the one exception where it like sequences these two areas so that like you have to kind of do them in conjunction with each other. I don't know. I'm not that deep into it. But it seems, like active and interesting in the way it's spreading you out among these two different spots on either side of the desert. And also, I get the criticisms that the desert is like empty and feels a little bit like, why is this a big empty space for me to ride this motorcycle around in? And I feel that, but I also feel like that it's approximating some of the like desolation that I kind of want to see in a Metroid game, where it's just like you're just driving through a big desert, like it feels very like Dune or Star Wars, where it's just like, oh yeah, the vastness of this space is intimidating, even if like the encounters in it are not that intimidating, and like you could just walk through it, it would just take forever, right?
Right.
You're not in danger of like dying of exposure or taking damage or whatever. But yeah, like conceptually, I like it. I, again, have not played that much of it. If I had to spend like hours and hours and hours there, I will probably like it less. But my immediate reaction to it is fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't bug me. Okay, well, so those are our experiences with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Wario World, and what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
All right. Well, let's do our last check-in of Nintendo music for the year.
Wow, last one.
I'm assuming they'll continue to publish updates, but we won't be able to talk about them until next year. So, Super Mario Land
That's
is
it.
the soundtrack for the week.
Which includes my favorite piece of music from a Game Boy game, which it's the ending music from Super Mario Land.
Oh.
It starts off like kind of like sweet and music boxy, and then it kind of like gets into a nice like sort of like tenor Game Boy beat, and it's just like it's got a real groove to it, and like feels like space and feels like Mario, and is very like satisfying and warm. I love
fun.
it a lot.
I'll have to check it out. I don't remember it, and I haven't listened to the soundtrack since they released it. So yeah, that's a good reason to go in.
Yeah, and don't be turned off if at first it sounds too music boxy for you, because it does. It's like Mario and Daisy being like, "Thank you for whatever."
Yeah.
And then it's as like the camera pans away that it like sort of the melody starts to soar, and then it's just got this like repeating really high bass line that feels like DuckTales moon music to me.
Oh, cool.
Like it's on par with that. I love it.
They also added a Daisy playlist, so you can listen to songs that are associated with Daisy.
I hope that ending theme from Super Mario Land is in there.
Nintendo Music also sent out their first year in review, kind of like Spotify Wrap or Unwrapped, or
I think they just call it Wrapped. I think, right?
I don't know. Let's see. I use Apple Music and they call it Rewind. I don't know.
Here's the thing. I was just about to say, like, man, Spotify really did a good job of like branding that thing, because now everyone is like, oh yeah, this is this platform's Wrapped.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Spotify
okay.
Wrapped.
Great. Well, Spotify, who we use to host the podcast. Good work.
Good work. Of course, Nintendo called theirs the year in review. They didn't call it Nintendo Music Wrapped.
Good.
Anyways, I'll be interested. We're going to talk about ours in our New Year's Day episode as part of our wrap up of 2025. So I'll be interested to hear, because I was surprised. I wasn't surprised by what I had listened to the most. I was surprised at how much I had listened, honestly, because I don't think of it as something that I go to that much.
Yeah, well, and I also don't think of it as something I go to that much. So I will be. I have not yet. I tried to access it, got an error, and was like, forget it. I did not investigate a second time.
Yeah.
No, we'll see, and I'm excited to find out.
And also, no surprise, because I talked about it in what I've been playing. But last week, Nintendo added Wario World to GameCube on Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit as we go through the new releases for the week. But there are some Nintendo 64 games that were also added, and I like that they are doing this thing now where they're, if not pairing, at least like around the same time that they're putting out a GameCube game, also being like, and a Nintendo, like there's something for the Switch 1 players who are NSO Plus expansion pack subscribers.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
I wasn't really thinking about it either until that very concept was floated by Mesa Ace in the Discord as like, if you don't have a Switch 2, you can't access the GameCube.
Yeah.
But you're still subscribing at a higher level, like they should be offering you something.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. It's also interesting to me how, again, the mysteries of how these decisions are made or why these decisions are made. It's like Wario World announced and playable on the same day.
Right.
These N64 games
you gotta wait
for the future,
yeah.
not released. Okay, let's just run through some of these real quick. So I feel like the theme of this week for me is late ports to Switch 2.
Yeah.
Or Switch in some cases. So today, December 16th, Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader is released on Switch 2. The impression that I read, like Nintendo Life's review of impressions of this, or maybe it was a review, and they weren't too they thought it was a bad port of a good game. But anyways, this is on Switch 2 now. Also today on Switch and Switch 2, the Rogue Prince of Persia, which is like a Prince of Persia roguelike, is released on those platforms. Again, kind of a late port, but only by a few months on that one.
It is interesting that like we are very much in the moment where it's like you cannot trust that a Switch 2 port is going to be good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if part of that is like dev kits are still, like went out to like everyone late or what, and people are just sort of like doing the Switch gold rush at this point, and like just hoping they can get anything out on there. But yeah, I think at this point, like caution, preach caution when buying third-party games that are being ported to the Switch too.
And then on Wednesday, December 17th, this is when those Nintendo 64 games land. So Rayman 2, The Great Escape, and Tonic Trouble for Nintendo 64.
When I saw this announcement, I thought that was an interesting subtitle for Rayman 2, The Great Escape and Tonic Trouble. But no, it turns out Tonic Trouble is a separate thing.
I haven't played either of these games.
I'll be honest, I don't know either of these games at all.
Yeah, I don't either. The only Rayman game I've played is like Origins, I think the most boringly titled one that was released on Switch.
There's Origins and Legends.
Yeah. And I played one of those, I think Origins, for a little bit. I have to be honest, I am so like tuned in to Mario has shaped so much of what my perception of what a platformer should be that it is sometimes difficult for me to get into platformers that have different control styles. Like I feel like
or even just different like physics and feels.
Physics,
to them.
That's the right way to put it. Like I feel like when I was trying to get into, I played a little bit of Disney Illusion Island when that was on game trial.
That does feel kind of Rayman.
It feels like floaty, like that sort of thing. Anyways, that's my only commentary on a game that I've never played and didn't really think about existing until it was announced for Nintendo 64.
Very good. I'm glad that you said something. Mark, of course, you have to remember that you have played indirectly another Rayman game, which is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah, interesting. Is Rabbids divorced enough from Rayman that or is it considered still part of the Rayman?
Am I kind of just saying that Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is a crossover between the Donkey Kong series and the Rayman series, because that's where both of those characters got their start.
Right. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's the ultimate Donkey Kong and Rayman crossover.
That it is.
Okay, on Thursday, December 18th, A-Train All Aboard Tourism Nintendo Switch 2 edition is released.
Yeah, I just wanted to point this one out because I had played the demo of the A-Train All Aboard Tourism Nintendo Switch 1 edition and was just sort of charmed by what it is. It's just a simulator where you board trains in Japan and ride the train.
Love that.
And you just look out the window and the countryside goes by. Totally charming. But it made me, it feels like it has similar joys to a flight simulator kind of thing where it's what, all I want to do is experience this thing that feels nice, feels like the machines of humanity are benefiting humanity, and we're just doing it, we're just experiencing it, we're going fast for sure, but it's all about a chill vibe. And that's what this is.
Yeah, I love I don't play them, but I love the existence of all of these simulators, farming simulators that are really particular about the intricacies of farming. I love that stuff exists.
Yeah,
I love that stuff exists.
Obviously, Power Wash Simulator.
Yes. Yeah. Also on Thursday, System Shock Remake is released on Switch and Switch 2. So the System Shock 2 remake had already been released on Switch, but this is the original System Shock.
Coming to Switch 2.
Switch and Switch 2.
I'm just saying, we're switching the numbers around.
Yes.
System Shock 2 came out on Switch 1. System Shock 1 is out on Switch 2 and Switch 1.
Yes, that's right.
What's confusing about that?
Well, speaking of confusing, also on Friday, December 19th, Layers of Fear, the final Masterpiece Edition is released. And this is the 2023 video game, horror game. This is by Bloober Team. and is being released on Switch 2. They have a game from 2016 called Layers of Fear
Okay.
that was released on Switch 1 a few years ago.
Okay, but this is the final Masterpiece Edition.
Yes, this is the final Masterpiece Edition of the 2023 game called Layers of Fear, not the 2016 game called Layers
Got
of
it.
Fear.
So 2023 is a remake of Layers of Fear.
No.
Or it's just another
No,
game
it's
called
a
Layers of Fear.
totally different game.
So it's a Scream to Scream
It's a remake
situation.
and a sequel.
Okay, great. Yeah, like Scream 5.
Sure.
I'm putting the 5 in there. The movie's just called Scream.
Oh, okay. You know,
Or 5 Cream if you're nasty.
I'm not.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying the 5 would take the place of the S.
Yes. Yeah. I see what
You
you're
can
saying.
visualize it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I see what you're saying. I feel like for something, maybe just friendship, we should watch the Scream movies.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like we did for Andor when you were hosting.
Absolutely.
Like we should, because I haven't seen more than half of them at this point.
You haven't seen 4, 5, or 6, right?
Yeah, and there's a new one coming out in February.
Right. So you've seen half of them.
Oh, sure.
The new one is
Yes.
7.
I haven't
so
watched
yeah.
the TV series.
We're not going to do that, though.
Okay. Anyways. Yes.
Anyways, Layers of Fear, the final Masterpiece Edition, is out on Switch 2 this Friday.
And if you want to call Scream 5 Cream, you can do that as well.
And you don't even have to be nasty. I said that, and then I felt bad about it, especially because Mark distanced himself from it real fast. I am not nasty, Mark said. All right, let's get out of the new releases.
I mean, everyone knows I'm a perfect little angel.
Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. All right, you perfect angel. You suggested that we talk about hot dogs.
Yeah, that's right.
Knowing full well that I don't eat meat. Go on.
But at some point you did, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, and I like to have a veggie dog, especially in a situation where I am like at a ballpark or a place where hot dogs are served.
Yeah.
The veggie dog at home is a little bit less of like, that's a little less exciting. And like I am hard pressed to like want to go to a place that serves hot dogs as like the food. That being said, the last couple times that we went to Lucky Tiki, which is a tiki bar above Tail of the Pup in West Hollywood. Tail of the Pup is a like a hot dog cart / restaurant, and I've had veggie dogs when I've gone there because you're going to a hot dog place.
Yeah, I never want hot dogs at home. Like I don't want to make a hot dog at home. But if I'm going to very specific locations,
yes,
I want a hot dog. Like if I'm going to a baseball game,
yep,
I want a hot dog. And maybe
it's a classic,
maybe
right?
That's it. Yeah. What do you get on your veggie dog?
I mean, I would like it if they would just most of my hot dogs in the last 10 years, veggie dogs, have been at Dodger Stadium, right? And I go and I'm like, I'll have the veggie dog. And I kind of want them to just put all the Dodger Dog stuff on it, which is just like a mountain of things.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they're like, here's the hot dog. Like, it's got nothing on it. It's just, and so I will do ketchup, mustard, relish, onions, and eat that. But I do feel like I have to do too much work for that.
Yeah.
Like, I want someone to dress the dog and give it to me, you know?
Mm-hmm,
What do you do?
I do ketchup.
Uh-huh.
I do mustard. And recently I've become more of a mustard person where like I'm mustard heavy.
Yes.
I want more mustard
Right.
than anything else. I want mustard and I want relish. And then a little bit of ketchup because I'm just so used to having it on there.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I lived in Chicago for a spell, and I did once order a hot dog with ketchup, and the people behind the counter made fun of me. Because it's their culture. It's the culture of the Chicagoan to be mean and to bully me a little bit, which is fine. But you don't. You're not an onion guy. So
I'm not.
Like,
I'm not.
That chopped onion. That's not.
No,
in
I
your
don't want
wheelhouse
that.
at all.
But here's the real thing: is that like, for some reason, if I'm at a ball game and you know how they're putting the hot dogs in that in that like foil bag.
I love that foil bag.
Okay, there's something about like the steamed hot dog and that kind of stale bread that sometimes I'll just eat it plain.
Sure.
Like I don't need anything else.
Well, there's also like the transportation thing, right? And like using the condiment bar, like that can be a whole. You got to like elbow people out of the way, children, and then like there is something that feels prissy about like building my special little hot dog. But yeah, like I have sometimes at a ball game gone and gotten 2 hot dogs, and then I'm like, I'm just taking these 2 foil wrapped hot dogs back to.
But I would never make 2 hot dogs at home.
Well, it sounds like you would never make 1 hot dog at home.
Exactly.
Now, why is that? How would you have you made a hot dog at home? Do you know how? How would you do it?
How would I? I haven't. I don't think I've made a hot dog at home.
Yeah.
In year, like it has been such a long time that I can't even picture a moment where I made a hot dog at home. How would I do it? When I was a kid, I would microwave it. Does that sound right?
Totally passable, yeah.
Yeah. What's the other option? Boil it?
There's a bunch of other options. You know, you could boil it, you can grill it. Sarah and I usually do like in a pan, and then you know, like once you get it going, like put some beer in there too, and like get that kind of like sautéed in there.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. I don't even think of like real like sausage or like bratwurst or something as an option. I just think of, you know, you're buying Oscar Mayer hot dogs that come in like a pack of 8 or something.
Right, and then you make them in the microwave.
Yeah, exactly. And you eat them plain.
Yeah, sure. We were accompanied today by pianist Kyle Shaw. All right, Mark, let's please stop talking about hot dogs and get into the news. Oops, that was more applause.
Last week, of course, was gaming's biggest night, the Cartridge Awards.
Yes.
AKA the Cardies. But also the Game Awards happened to be that same night.
Which I looked into it, and it turns out that's why we were having a hard time getting the limo.
Oh, that is weird.
Because of the Game Awards.
Yeah, that makes sense, though, now that you say it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so some happenings at the Game Awards. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 took home Game of the Year and a bunch of other awards.
Most other awards.
Yep. South of Midnight won the Games with Impact Award, which recognizes a thought-provoking game with a profound pro-social meaning. Putting a pin in that one because there's a reason I'm bringing it up.
Yes.
Donkey Kong Bonanza won Best Family Game. And
Doug Bowser accepted the award like it was a hostage video.
I don't think Nintendo wants to participate in the Game Awards. That's just the sense you get.
I agree.
Yeah, and then Mario Kart World won Best Sports/Racing Game.
Yes, much to Sonic fans' dismay, at least according to my social media feed.
I mean, normally a totally chill bunch.
I mean, honestly, the Mario fandom is no better at this point. Like, they are also freaks. So, what are you going to do?
So those were the awards that I wanted to make note of, but there were some games announced at the Game Awards for Nintendo platforms.
Well, hold on. Are we going back to pull the pin out of South of Midnight?
No, I'm doing it in this section. Mega Man Dual Override, a new Mega Man game announced for 2027.
And it looks like a Mega Man game. It looks like a 2D side-scrolling. They have updated Mega Man's. It's 3D. It's not pixel art. And they've updated his design from Mega Man 11 from a couple years ago, which I think he's looking pretty good, like a little bit better, a little less chibi than in the previous one. And then they showed just like a little bit of Mega Man like running and jumping and doing Mega Man stuff. Which, Mark, how does this like announcement hit you? You're not that much of a Mega Man guy.
Yeah, that's totally true. It's not a franchise that holds a lot of nostalgia for me because I didn't really play it growing up. But I'm always interested when...
And of course you played Mega Man's 1 and 5 on the Game Boy.
Yeah, that's right. But I am always interested when they relaunch it. You know, it's a franchise with a lot of gaming history. And, Mega Man 11 from a few years ago, like you mentioned, was a pretty traditional Mega Man game. And I think has sold fine and was well received. But... The fact that
it was well enough received. I think the reaction was a little bit softer than to like 9 and 10, which are the sort of like classic NES looking like pixel graphics. But 11's a great game, even if it didn't have quite the same like level of excitement around it.
And so the fact that, this has a subtitle, it just makes me wonder, what are they doing to differentiate this from 11 more than just like an updated art style?
Yeah. Well, so there was a system in, and I'm probably going to get the name of it wrong, but there was a system within Mega Man 11 that, like, I think it was called Overdrive. Now, the name of this game is Dual Override. So I wonder if that system comes into play here. Like you could use it to like slow down time,
Oh.
just a little bit.
Well, maybe you're overriding 2 times over the overdrive mechanic from 11.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe, which means it just takes it out. It's like a negative and a negative, making it positive. Two wrongs making it right. That's what I mean. But yeah, I don't. I saw a fair amount of like complaining about this announcement online. People seemingly expecting Mega Man to introduce some like brand new kind of Mega Man game, or like something that genuinely brings the Blue Bomber into the 21st century. And I'm kind of like, that's not what I come to Mega Man for. I kind of just want another Mega Man game with 8 robot masters and like themed levels that are cool and fun.
Yeah, Mega Man I think is such an interesting franchise because it has such a long legacy, but has not been relevant outside of like nostalgia
Yeah.
for a long time. So what do you do? It's kind of, in some ways, it's like the Star Fox problem, except the last few Mega Man games have still been good.
Yeah. Well, right. But the like other side of that is that like there are so many Mega Man games. There's as we just discussed, 11 of them in the main series, and then Mega Man X is basically the same game as Mega Man, just like different size sprites, like different proportion sprites. Sometimes multiple characters to play as, and his movement's a little bit different. But like generally speaking, both of those game series are long, right? And like Mega Man has dabbled in other areas where like sometimes they get a little bit more role playing-y, like in the Battle Network games or Mega Man Legends. But like, yeah, I guess I just don't know what people want from a Mega Man game.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't either. Like, as a very casual Mega Man fan, this seems great. Right?
Yeah.
Every few years, you just create a take on, like, our new Mega Man, classic Mega Man game with a new thing.
Yes.
That makes it stand out.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just it has become a niche product, and like trying to turn it into not a niche product doesn't actually make sense.
Capcom continued their support for Switch 2 by announcing that Pragmata, the previously announced game, is releasing on Switch 2 on the same day as other platforms, April 24th, 2026. So that's like Resident Evil coming at the end of February, and then
Yes.
2 months later, you have Pragmata coming. Plus, there is a Diana amiibo. Diana is like the android.
Little robot girl,
Yeah,
yes.
the little robot girl that rides around on the Space Marine.
She's yeah, she does ride around in the Space Marine. She's basically the Haley Joel Osment in AI to your main characters. I don't know, Jude Law in AI.
Yeah, I it's almost like, to me, it almost seems more like a big daddy little sister
Yeah,
type
Bioshock
thing from
dynamic.
BioShock.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Also with like crossed over with like Dead Space or something. It looks interesting. It honestly wasn't really on my radar because I just game on Nintendo platforms at this point. So now that it is on Switch 2, I'm a little more interested. And interesting to see Capcom keep up with this
Totally.
amiibo support.
And so strange. The amiibo itself doesn't look super great.
No.
Like the sculpt on it looks a little like detail-less. And like her hair is all kind of like snaky and strange. So that's a little weird. But yes, like we've mentioned before, it's crazy how many amiibo Capcom is putting out.
Yeah.
And they're just adding another one here.
And also, I feel like as interested as I am to see how this game runs on Switch 2, and like I think it's like a cool announcement to see that Capcom is on board with like bringing their new games to Switch 2, where in the Switch generation it was just they had good support, but it was all ports of old games.
Right.
And
And
plus
now it's
like
new
Monster
games.
Hunter
Right.
occasionally. In this case, yeah, it's new games. And I think Resident Evil Requiem will be a great test run for how are these actually going to perform on Switch 2,
And
though.
how are they going to sell? Like
Yeah.
it's a two-pronged question. Mark, since since Pragmata doesn't seem like it was really in your sphere of like gaming news for a while, have you been privy to any of the like rumoring that Pragmata is a secret Mega Man game?
No, I haven't.
So it's because the little girl wears blue and her like sleeve looks like an arm cannon. And it's also she's a robot who like maybe is a little bit more human than. Anyway, people have been speculating about this for like a year now that like it's possible that like at the end Pragmata is like revealed to be a Mega Man game,
Amazing.
or like a twist on a twisty presentation of Mega Man.
Yeah, where it's like all this time, just like Samus, Mega Man has been a little girl.
Or you remember when you and I saw the movie Split together?
Yes.
And at the end, it's revealed that it's like part of the Unbreakable universe.
Yeah.
That like that was a big twist that people didn't know going in.
Right.
But like they could at the end of Pragmata be like, and surprise, it's going to cross over with Mega Man because it's in the
totally.
same universe.
Totally.
Something like that.
And the little girl's name is Dual Override. There's a demo for Pragmata coming soon.
And it's out on PC right now.
Yes, and then
demo.
coming to consoles soon. So that'll be interesting to check out on Switch 2 if nothing else. Okay, so this is where I want to mention South of Midnight. The only reason I called it out as winning Games with Impact Award is because it was announced that Xbox is bringing it to Switch 2 and PS5 in spring of next year.
Okay, yeah, great.
Yeah, so this is a third-person action adventure set in like a magical realism version of the American South. Yeah, just interesting to see Xbox. At this point, Xbox just routinely releases.
They just publish games.
Games on other platforms.
I just wanted the language around the Impact Award is very interesting to me. Recognizes a thought-provoking game with a profound pro-social meaning. It's better than a game that has thought-provoking anti-social meaning. Profound
right, or like thoughtless,
right.
A thoughtless game with a non-profound anti-social meaning. Yeah, I mean,
I guess you could say is most games.
Yes, I don't know. It all kind of seems like gobbledygook to me, but
yes. And I think like we get it, like we understand like the shape of the thing they're going for,
right.
And they're never gonna call it wokest game, right?
right. Let's see. Other games announced for Switch or Switch 2. Out of Words, coming in 2026, is a co-op platformer with a claymation art style, announced for Switch 2.
Looks very interesting. I do think I like Out of Words. Like the shape of it looks like Outer Worlds, or like Out of This World. Like there's something very familiar about the shape of this title.
Yes. Also announced, and this is a Switch 2 exclusive in 2026, is a game called Orbitals, which is a co-op adventure with like a retro anime-inspired art style.
Totally looks like Macross or Robotech or something like that. Like has that like hyper detailed like pencil work look to it. That is just like it's not really the same kind of anime style that you see in stuff now, which is kind of emulating the animation of like the late 90s or like early 2000s, kind of even to present. Like all of that anime kind of looks the same-ish, or can look the same. There's a big variety, but this very specific band of it has such a cool look that I respond to. Like I saw this trailer and was like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, it does. It does look cool. And then also announced for Switch 2 is Phasmophobia, coming next year. This is a co-op horror game that launched in early access on PC in 2020 and was put on Xbox and PlayStation 5 last year. The game as a whole is aiming for a 1.0 release in 2026.
Gotcha.
But yeah, coming to Switch 2. I think it's encouraging to see all these like current generation ports on Switch 2. They're happening at a like early in its life and at a rapid enough pace that it feels like if the sales are there to back it up, we could continue to see this through the Switch 2's life, which would make it very different from the Switch, which had great current generation ports, of like PS4 games and stuff, but they felt like miracle ports rather than
Right.
just the
Rather
status
than
quo.
the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is interesting because like we are early enough in the Switch 2's life cycle where it had a great launch and like is selling well enough throughout the its first year here that like Nintendo had revised up their numbers and like put more into circulation to meet that demand. But like I for whatever reason it feels like less of a phenomenon than the Switch 1 was, and maybe that's just a matter of comparison. The Wii U versus the Switch is such a huge gulf, whereas the Switch versus Switch 2 is lesser, and certainly culturally lesser. I just wonder like what the actual trajectory is outside of this first year and this like I mentioned it earlier, like a little bit of a gold rush to like put your games out on Switch. I feel like we don't. What you were describing sounds great, and I just don't know if we're headed to that. Like, will sales actually be good?
No, totally. It's a big question, and third party support is huge. Like for people who are buying a Switch 2 and don't have access to these games on other platforms or want to play them portably. But yeah, I mean, with all of this stuff, it is 100% on Nintendo to keep the momentum going, and that's
Totally
going to rely on big first party Nintendo releases. And they have heavy hitters that have kind of been on the sidelines so far. So yeah, I think that is for sure the question.
And I would say that like we know a couple titles for next year, but we don't have any big gun titles announced yet for next year.
Yes,
right?
which I have zero doubt that they're coming,
Yeah,
but you're
me
right.
too.
We don't know what any of those
Right.
are at this point.
I hope that they are waiting, right? Like, because even if some of the releases were either like coming too fast or whatever, we will definitely talk about this more in our like year wrap up episode. But like the feeling around cause I feel like there are 4 big Nintendo games that came out this year on Switch 2. Kirby Air Riders, Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Metroid Prime 4. And like Bonanza felt kind of big, and then like everything else has felt like kind of in like the wishy-washy middle, and not like big megaton games. And I just wonder, but those are all big like IP and big characters and stuff. So I'm like, what's the next one that's going to feel like a megaton?
I completely agree. I mean, well, I would say Pokemon was the other is like a big one as well.
Sure, yes.
But
yeah, great point. Thank you.
I feel like it is very difficult with the Switch 2 launch because it is a launch unlike we have ever seen before, where there has been plentiful supply in 90% of the world.
Yes.
From almost like 6 weeks in. You know what I mean? And that's never happened before. And so definitely not in like modern in the past like 20 years. That's never except for a successful platform.
Right.
And so the Switch 2 has up to this point, as far like the numbers that we have, is the best-selling console, the fastest-selling console of all time.
Yes.
And December is usually Nintendo's biggest month, right? And so that's we're in the middle of it right now, and we'll see how all of this shakes out. But yeah, I feel like there's the like insular like gaming part of it,
yes,
where I completely agree with what you're saying. It lacks the impact of a Breath of the Wild. There is no one title that has had the impact of like Breath of the Wild, and
maybe no game ever will ever again.
But I don't. But it's so difficult to know what normal people, how they're experiencing it, right? And if
well, and if what happens over the course of the holidays changes that too. Like this is where the hardcore gaming dorks bring their Switch 2s home from college or from wherever they are and share it with other people. And like, will that be a thing that changes minds or like gets other people, younger kids or whatever, to want the Switch 2? And like, I think that is definitely possible. But like, well, the momentum coming out of the launch was good. Switch 2 did not win Black Friday.
Yeah, but
PlayStation 5 did.
But that's like
it's a messy metric because like it didn't have any price drops or anything.
right, and like Black Friday is historically Sony's time to shine, and
Sure,
and that's just like the week of Black Friday, which, like you said, is such a sales driven, like price drop driven metric.
Right.
But yes, I do. I mean, it's an interesting data point, for sure. I feel like I also think that there's potential that this is like a sequel box office phenomenon type thing, like we're seeing with Wicked 2, and domestically we'll probably see with Zootopia 2, where it opens bigger, or even Five Nights at Freddy's 2. It opens bigger than the original, but then doesn't have the legs of the original because, there are maybe more people are interested because the first one was so big, so more people see it that first like weekend or whatever. But then, a lot of people have had their appetite satiated.
Yeah.
And people who saw like Wicked 1 didn't. There are people that aren't interested in seeing Wicked 2. And so my point is that this is a phenomenon that's very typical in box office, and it's possible we'll see the same. I would expect it will happen with Switch 2, where it opens bigger than the Switch, but doesn't end up surpassing the Switch.
Yeah.
Which
I mean,
could still
surpassing
be-
the Switch would be a Herculean feat.
Right.
But yeah, and that like phenomenon is interesting, right? Because like part of what has driven up Switch 1 sales numbers, is people buying multiples of them, right? Like I own 3 Switches, and I have a Switch 2. And like that was a lot of like Wicked 1 success, is that like people were seeing it multiple times. And if you see Wicked for good, and then you're like, I want to experience that world again, you're just going to watch the first one because you have it at home, right? You can stream it, and it's a better movie, and it is less dour than the second one. No, that's all stuff that a lot of that is specific to Wicked and whatever. But like the idea that you already have it at home and you don't have to make like a special trip to the theater to see it again, to get your hit of Wicked, is relevant. And I wonder if something like Avatar: Fire and Ash is going to have like a similar effect, right? Like I'm so curious to know,
especially coming so soon after
Yes.
the most recent The Way of Water, the most recent Avatar movie, because between Avatar 1 and 2 there was such a stretch.
Yeah.
And now between 2 and 3 it's just like 3 years or something like that.
Right.
And so will it have that same intrigue of the second entry? Yeah, I mean, super interesting to think about.
And does it relate to the Switch versus the Switch 2? I don't know. You and I actually talk about box office kind of a lot in our personal lives.
Right.
And I think this is maybe the first time it's crept onto the podcast.
Yeah, especially when it's like tangentially related at best.
It is tangentially related.
But yeah, I mean, going back to this idea of third parties putting more
Yes.
games on Switch 2. It is not an uncommon phenomenon. Like we saw it with the Wii U, where Nintendo's able to drum up some amount of third-party support ahead of a console launch to say, like, this time it's different, right? With the Wii U, you had, like, Mass Effect being ported. You had the, like, Arkham Asylum, was it Origins that they put on there? Like,
No, it wouldn't have been. I think it was Arkham City, the Armored Edition.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
And you saw brand new stuff, too, like Zombie U.
Yes,
But
I think what feels different this time it feels less like Nintendo mustering the troops, and more like third parties wanting to get in on the ground floor of what they are hoping to be a successful platform like the Switch was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also very interested to see how Final Fantasy VII Remake does on Switch 2. Partially because like I know that the return on investment for them for Rebirth, the second in the 7 Remake series, was not what they wanted, right? Like it did not sell as well. And that's got to just be because those games are insanely expensive to make. And it was a PlayStation 5 exclusive, right? It's kind of a double barrel problem. And being able to put those games, Remake and Rebirth, on more platforms is only going to help them actually like reach a sales target at some point. because like they're huge AAA games, right? And I'm so hopeful that like they can be a successful endeavor for Square Enix, so they want to keep making games at that scale that are weird, as weird as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is, and that they are rewarded for that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to assume that the 9 remake is real. So just assuming that's real,
Sure, yeah.
like, is that going to be one game? Are they also planning to split that up into multiple? Like, has the reception to the second part, are they planning to kind of like revisit the story in the same way that they've done with like
Yeah, that's interesting.
how much of Final Fantasy VII is a playbook, and how much of it was just like a one-off because Final Fantasy VII is such a unique thing. I forgot that game was coming out. I have it pre-ordered. It's coming out in like January,
Dude,
and it's only like $40. I think.
I'm gonna buy it again. That game is awesome, and I want to talk about it on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to play it.
I just to speak quickly too, and this is me like thinking on my feet here. The Final Fantasy VII remake project. Obviously Final Fantasy VII is such a like massive game already, and had all of these spin-off titles associated. It had a movie that was in theaters eventually, and like if there is a Final Fantasy game to like milk the heck out of, it's 7. But there's also the bloat in Final Fantasy VII remake, and then especially in Rebirth, is additive to the narrative and themes of that game in a way that is specific to Final Fantasy VII. And I don't think that doing the same treatment to Final Fantasy IX would be additive to the story that game is telling. And so it's just like there is something really, really commendable in the mess that is the 7 remakes, that I don't think would be commendable in the same way in the 9 remakes if they break them up and do the exact same thing. So I sort of expect them to be a more straightforward remake of Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah, that could be. I just imagine like, I would be so curious to know what that looks like. Where
Totally,
they're like,
yeah.
we have remade this in the same way we did 7. Meaning, like graphical fidelity, changes to gameplay and everything.
And you could still overhaul the combat system like 7 did, yeah.
Exactly. But we're doing it all in one game. Like the scope of that just seems so potentially enormous. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
Agree.
Okay. Did we talk about Phasmophobia? We did. This is kind of what kicked off the whole thing. Okay. Great. Some games announced for consoles generically.
That was in quotes. Consoles.
Yeah, or on specific consoles, not including Nintendo platforms. Two of these that I'm expecting to skip the Switch to, and that's Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic and Star Wars Galactic Racer.
Yeah, I tell you, seeing both of these in the Game Awards made me go like, those seem cool. They seem like cool games.
Yeah.
Although Fate of the Old Republic, which is Casey Hudson, is that the director's name?
Yeah.
Who was on like Mass Effect and the Knights of the Old Republic games. Is obviously like 4 or 5 years away, right? Like that game is so far away.
I think he took to, if I'm remembering right, he took to social media a few days ago, like a few days after the Game Awards, being like, no, it's really not, like it's not vaporware, like it's further along.
I believe that it's coming. It's going to be years and years.
Yeah.
It's not Star Wars Eclipse. That's
right.
That game is, if that game ever comes out, I will eat a copy of it live on this show.
Well, hopefully that's ported to Switch, so it's just one of those little like game.
But it'll taste horrible.
Yeah.
And then Star Wars Galactic Racer, not pod racing, but racing regardless, and featuring Sebulba. So
yes, which
good news.
Good news. Everybody loves Sebulba. Everybody wants to be Sebulba. Men want to be Sebulba. Women want to be with Sebulba. You know the drill.
I do know the drill.
Okay, and then here's 3 games that maybe could make their way to Switch 2. These feel more likely to me but still not that likely.
I think one of these feels likely to me, and the rest do not.
So Tomb Raider, 2 games were announced. Tomb Raider Catalyst, which is a new game coming in 2027, and then Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, which is like a reboot, basically, of the first game. A Final Fantasy VII remaking of the first game that's releasing next year.
Yeah, the remake looks really good, right? Like the Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis looks like a really cool, fun game with, she's fighting dinosaurs and stuff.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
did in the original Tomb Raider.
Totally.
And that's the one that I think there's a possibility that it comes to Switch too.
So the other game in this section for me is Control Resident, which is the sequel to Control that was announced for PlayStation as a 2026 game. And because they put Control on Switch as a cloud version,
that's right.
but as they put it on Switch, that's one that I'm like, maybe they have and that's why I feel about Tomb Raider could be as well, because it's like there's a history of late ports of these games, coming to Nintendo platforms. So,
but we
maybe
didn't get like the Alan Wake remake or Alan Wake 2
did
on Switch.
We did.
Yeah,
those released digitally.
All right.
Yeah,
digitally or cloud wise.
No, I think they
did.
I'm
Alan Wake on Switch.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now, but I think Alan Wake. Okay. Alan Wake Remastered. I don't know what that is. Is on Switch, and then did Alan Wake 2? No, just Alan Wake Remastered.
But yeah, a new Control game, and we're talking about Control and Alan Wake in the same sentence because they're all part of this greater narrative gameplay project from the studio Remedy. So yeah, that's why we're lumping them together here.
Also at the Game Awards, there was a new teaser trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It featured a short look at a fight between Bowser Jr. and then Mario and Luigi.
Here's what Nintendo says is okay to show at the Game Awards. Have a little bit more footage of the movie.
Yeah.
We'll see you later.
Yep. Yeah. After being
no reaction to the Mario Galaxy movie stuff.
So it seems the clip is edited to look like it takes place right after Bowser Jr. announces his presence, and that he's there.
And his name, he says, "My name is Bowser Jr."
And his purpose, like I'm here to take back my dad, or something.
I'm here
to
say I'm taking back my dad in a major way.
And then Mario gets his butt kicked. Luigi does this slow motion knee stomp into Bowser Jr. and then he's like, ow. I don't know. It's, these movies are not to my taste. So
sure,
this didn't do anything to change my mind.
I was watching the Game Awards. I missed this happening, and then I have not gone in search of it.
It's very short. It's 30 seconds. It's just a short little clip.
Here's the thing. I'm going to see this movie whether I want to or not, and I don't want to, but I'll see it. So I may be off the trailer train for this one.
After being accidentally leaked online by the PlayStation Store image for the game, Capcom confirmed a day or two before the Game Awards that Leon will be playable in Resident Evil Requiem. This had been kind of rumored, suspected for a long time. The expectation is that Grace is her sections are more survival horror-y, and
they would have to be because her name is Grace Ashcroft.
And then Leon sections will be more action focused,
and they would have to be because his name is Leon Kennedy.
And supposedly time will be equally split between the two characters in the game.
So this is cool. I do like that because all the early looks at Requiem made it look like it was leaning more in the cerebral horror, the kind of
the 7
Silent
and 8
Hill-y.
and village stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I've really enjoyed the Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remakes on PS5, 4 and 5. And those are also good at wrangling the action components of Resident Evil, and sort of embodying that for me is Leon Kennedy. With each new appearance for Leon, he becomes a little bit more of an action movie cliche, and it has pushed past the point of me thinking it's dumb to me loving it again. So I hope he's just a total just a total meathead in this new one, and is like totally lacking in all subtlety. Says things that are overly rude to his companions, and they're like, "Well, I got to go with this guy because he's unstoppable."
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like the remakes have done a really good job of rehabilitating what action in a Resident Evil game means.
100%.
Because they have found the kind of like sweet spot of making the games feel dynamic, for lack of a more specific term, but still feel like Resident Evil.
Yes.
Whereas like 5 was slipping, and 6, like they kind
Totally
of
off
lost
the rails,
the thread of what makes those games special. And so I agree with you. Like, I no longer, when I hear it's more actiony, I no longer like am fearful of what that might mean.
Right.
For the tone of the game in general.
Yep.
Team Cherry has revealed Hollow Knight Silksong Sea of Sorrow DLC planned for 2026.
Okay, but Silksong was supposed to be DLC for Hollow Knight, right?
Yes.
Are we in like 7 years going to get the release of Sea of Sorrow as like its own separate game?
They have they say that this is planned for 2026, and it's coming. It's free for all players of Silksong next year. They, as is now their like custom after the long development of Silksong, they are not saying anything further. They announced it, but they're saying that further details are being kept a secret for now, and that additional info can be expected shortly before Sea of Sorrow releases. So,
which, hey, they don't need to. I mean, other than announcing that it exists or will exist, they don't need to say anything else until it's ready to go.
Yep. Masahiro Sakurai posted on social media that the team behind Kirby Air Riders is disbanding soon, and that while there may be one more update with further adjustments, that work on the game is likely done at this point. He had previously announced that there was no DLC that was part of the second Sakurai Presents for the game. But yeah, I mean, I guess a neat peek behind the curtains in some ways, where it's like, yeah, we were all contractors working on this game, and our work is finished, our watch is ended.
Yes. Well, and like if their work were to continue, the obvious thing would be like, well, okay, what are they adding to the game? And like the game is so full of like everything Kirby that I'm kind of like, I don't know what else you would add. Not that I'm the strongest Kirby scholar out there or anything, but it seems like they did it. It seems like if there was a Kirby playable character that you would want to be in this game, they already are.
Yeah, I think he's managing expectations well, because there's the after Smash Ultimate, you could conceive of a world where they can continue to fiddle with it and make, or even Mario Kart World, where they've continued to make adjustments and like updates and add small new features and all that kind of stuff. And I think he's doing a good job of purposefully managing expectations and just being like, yeah, Kirby Air Riders, a minor project in his resume in some ways, right? Like it's not going to consume the next 6 years of his life.
Yes, right. Then that if that makes it a minor project, then yes. Well, and also like, how much support does a Kirby Air Rider game need, right? You make it, you put it out, it's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Balancing bug fixes, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean the game feels pretty polished. So
yeah. Last week, pre-orders for the Virtual Boy accessories for Switch and Switch 2 went live on the North American My Nintendo store.
A very exciting moment.
Yes, thank you for Paul for alerting the Discord, so I was able to like go in and make my pre-order. I picked up both because that's
you and I have the same disease.
We have a sickness.
I had like favorited the item on Nintendo's website, so I got an email before Paul alerted us.
Oh,
I was busy securing my pre-order when Paul was like, "Hey, they've gone live," which. Peek behind this curtain, I will secure my own pre-order before alerting our Discord.
Women and children first.
No, me first. I'm gonna get that thing.
It's of course $100 for the replica model and $25 for the cardboard model. When I checked on Sunday, it looked like they weren't taking pre-orders for the replica anymore for the $100 one, but the cardboard model was still available. And I 100% expect that they will restock the
Yes.
the replica,
replica.
in the future, and or you may not open for pre-orders, but it wouldn't surprise me that when the Virtual Boy goes live on NSO in February, that it becomes available then, because this is not like it's a permanent, or air quotes, permanent addition to Nintendo Switch Online. And so,
and they're saying it can only be played with one of these things.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I totally expect that they will continue to restock both versions for the like mid future.
It is also not exclusive to Switch 2. So like anyone subscribing to NSO Plus expansion pack who owns Switch at all, which is, you know, a pretty huge chunk of people, may at some point be interested in getting their hands on the Virtual Boy replica thing. But I think it is also maybe like, I don't know how you measure enthusiasm or like consumer interest for this product, right? Like, how? Like, how? It's just like with pre-orders? Are they just like, they took a bunch of pre-orders and they're like, great, that's how many we'll print? Or like,
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, in Europe, it had been available for pre-order since basically when it was announced.
right?
It's just North America that hasn't done it. So yeah, that's a good question. How do they try to gauge demand for something like this? Is it comparable to like a Genesis controller for the Nintendo Switch? You know, like how do they try to model that? That's especially when it's $100. Like that's a really good question. I mean, for me, I'm spending the money so I can have that Virtual Boy replica like sitting on a shelf that I can look at. I genuinely don't think I'm going to be playing a ton of Virtual Boy outside of a couple of
play
games.
Wario Land.
Yeah, like there's like a couple of games that I think will be fun to be able to finally experience, and then a lot of them that'll just be novelties that, you know, and by a lot of them I mean
most of them.
yeah, like but like 8, you know, like
right. 8 is most.
Yes. But yeah, exciting for an opportunity to give Nintendo more money. Also last week, Bethesda surprise released a free Switch 2 update for Skyrim Anniversary Edition that promised enhanced resolution with improved load times, performance optimization, mouse mode support, and more. So this is a free update if you own Skyrim Anniversary Edition on Switch. And of course, you can, you know, buy it on Switch 2 as well if you want to pick it up new. I will say that some of the reviews I've seen are not particularly impressed with the updates that they've made for the Switch 2 edition, but it's a free update if you already own it. So
yes, I've seen that as well.
Speaking of Switch 2 editions, on Monday, Larian Studios released a Switch 2 edition of Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition with a higher resolution and improved frame rate. It's a free upgrade if you own the Switch 1 version.
Speaking of Divinity, did you see the Divinity trailer as part of the Game Awards? They're like the new Divinity game. Pretty gnarly stuff. They like burn a man at the stake, and like there's an orgy happening around the stake, and the man turns into like a blood demon and kills them all. It's a horrific thing to happen in the middle of like an award ceremony.
Well, that must have been either right before or after Best Family Game, right?
I think it was right after Best Family Game and right before that Badger game trailer. Did you see the Badger game?
No.
The Badger, he seems like he's existing in the world of many video games, but it's like fun and playful.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, if that comes out on Switch, we'll talk about it.
Finally, the next event in the Donkey Kong Bonanza Emerald Rush DLC kicks off today. The Dig to the Beat event offers statues of Donkey Kong Jungle Beat's Ghastly and Ninja Kong.
Fascinating inclusion, because previously they had just been giving us statues from Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, I love that they are,
and the rest of the like country games.
I love that they are using this, like these events, these statues to recognize the lesser traversed parts of Donkey Kong lore and history. Like, when is the last time Jungle Beat was ever officially recognized anywhere? You know what I mean?
long time, right? I guess on the Wii they did
Yeah.
a new play control version of it on the Wii, and they can't put it out on the GameCube on NSO because it requires the bongo controllers. Or do you think they would allow there to be another control method for that?
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. And I can't remember if it required it or if it was just compatible with.
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. I always thought that it was required because obviously the Wii version of it allows you to like simulate those motions with the Wii remote and nunchuck. So yeah, no, that is interesting. If maybe you were able to just control it with like button presses or
Yeah.
like triggers or something, like I feel like there are workarounds for it, but they would just have to build those in, right?
So the game, according to the internet,
Mm.
is playable with a regular GameCube controller.
Okay, well there you go.
But honestly, look, let me put replica DK bongos on the shelf next to my Virtual
right.
Boy replica.
I mean, this is what we're driving at, of course. Is that charge me another? Here's the thing: they can't charge $100 for it. I think the bongos were $30 each when they originally launched on GameCube.
Oh, baby, I think they could. Oh, I think they could.
Okay, then I want it to be a premium product. I want the bongos to be made out of wood and like genuine animal hide stretched over the top of them.
No, they're making those replica bongos that are just like the ones released on GameCube, and they're releasing those babies for $100 in the U.S. I mean, they're not, but I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be
they're
mad.
not, but weirdly, that's what we want.
Right.
This nightmare scenario we're describing is our best case scenario. All right. Well, Mark, that's the end of the news for this episode and for this year of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Let's close this out. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. We still do have 2 more episodes coming to you this year, and then we will be back after a little bit of a break on the first of the year as we do a sort of year in review kind of wrap up thing, which we have not determined the shape of yet, but we will, and it'll be fun.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, you'll hear us on Thursday, just not talking about the news.
Yeah, and then you'll hear us again on the Tuesday after, and it will similarly not be talking about the news. In fact, if we talk about anything that's in the news, it'll be old at that point. It'll be in the olds.
And in fact, I think we do, in fact, do that.
I am certain that we do. And just to call forward to that a little bit, let us dither no longer. If you are not already in the Discord, email us and we will send you an invitation. You can get in there. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.